Okay, this will be part 3 of the 17-2 assignment. I apologize. I had to hustle there to get it underneath 15 minutes, so I might have cut you off there right at the very end. Hopefully, we should be able to make it through this part without any pomp or circumstance. I'm going to let you take a look at his video clip here quick, and again, we'll probably cut this short.
You can use a tree diagram to display the sample space of a multi-step action. For example, consider this action. Make a snack. Step 1. Choose crackers or pretzels. Step 2. Choose apple or orange. Step 3. Choose milk, juice, or water. To make a tree diagram, start with the possible outcomes of Step 1. You can choose crackers, C, or pretzels, P. Step 2 has 2 choices, so extend 2 branches from each possible outcome of Step 1. List the possible outcomes for Step 2 at the ends of the branches.
Okay, so because this is a 3-step action, we're not going to be able to create that table as an organized list. So we're going to have to figure out some other technique. This is the technique that they have chosen to use, which is called a tree diagram. Again, this is a lot of you guys are going to be unwilling to do this, and it's going to burn you when it comes to these steps or actions that are more than 2 steps. So in this particular situation, you can see step 1 listed here in blue. They've said, hey, you have crackers and or pretzels are your 2 options. So they have a C and they have a P here. You can see that in step 2, you have 2 options, apples and or oranges. So they list both of those via your tree diagram. And then next, you're going to get 3 choices here when it comes to milk, juice, or water. And so they're going to basically extend beyond the A and beyond the O's 3 branches from each of those pieces, as you will see.
And Step 3 has 3 choices, so extend 3 branches from each possible outcome of Step 2. List the possible outcomes for Step 3 at the ends of the branches.
Now,
to list each complete outcomes.
My suggestion for you guys here would be make sure when you create these tree diagrams, give yourself plenty of room. One of the biggest issues that you're going to come up with is you're going to crowd yourself. So make sure you're using plenty of room to create these tree diagrams on your work. Certainly would be one of those things that would be very difficult to show in, let's say, a work box that I would give you in class. So let's take a look at these outcomes. You're going to follow the tree branches. So as you can see, we're going to go through C, A, M as your top tree branch. And they're going to go ahead and explain the rest of this. I might as well let them use it because they only got about 30 seconds left. So
start at one outcome of Step 1 and follow a path through the tree. One outcome path is crackers, an apple, and milk. The next outcome is crackers, an apple, and juice. Then crackers, an apple, and water. Fill in the remaining outcomes in the same way. There are 12 outcomes in all.
now again, one of the things I would like to tell you is notice I don't expect you to write down all of those words. You want to find some shorthand to do that. And my shorthand right here simply would be to say, hey, let's come out here and go CAM. Next one would be CAJ. Next one CAW, so on and so forth. Because otherwise, it's going to take you forever to write down all of those words. So let's take a look at our next little piece here, slide 2. All right, so those of you guys who have 3 kids in your family would fall into one of these situations, all right? So it says complete the diagram. Note they show you child 1, child 2, and child 3. So that means that child 1 could be a boy or it could be a girl. Child 2 also could be a boy or a girl. Let me see, how do they want this? They must want it as, yeah, boy, girl, boy, girl. And then child 3, same situation. Boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. So when we come over here, we would say, hey, you have 3 kids in your family, all 3 of them are boys. It'd be B, B, B. You could go boy, boy, girl. You could go boy, girl, boy. So B, G, B. And again, all I'm doing here, guys, is following the branches. All right, so that's where a tree diagram is very effective. So boy, girl, boy, follow that branch. Now I'm going to go boy, girl, girl, and follow that branch. That's going to give me B, G, G. And this one basically is the one, I have 3 children. That's my scenario right there. As we go down here, everything's going to be exactly the same, except we're going to start with G in this situation because girl's your first child. So G, B, B, G, B, G. Again, I'm just following the tree branches. G, G, B, and G, G, G. All right? Okay. So that one's not too bad, I don't think. Moving on to slide 3. Slide 3, school bus. We got kids sitting in each seat, one by the window, one by the aisle. We want to make a tree diagram to show all the possible arrangements of a 6th grade kid, a 7th grade kid, and an 8th grade kid sharing a seat. List all the possible arrangements in an outcome column. So, in essence, what you could say is, hey, if we're looking at it from a window perspective and an aisle perspective, you could have a 6th grader sitting by the window, you could have a 7th grader sitting by the window, you could have an 8th grader sitting by the window. You could, sitting in the aisle then, you could have a 6th grade kid in the aisle, a 7th grade kid in the aisle, and an 8th grade kid in the aisle. And as long as you do that, set it up this way, it's going to be relatively simple to organize your tree diagram. So again, use the idea of patterns here a little bit to your advantage. So in this particular situation, when I map it all the way out to get these list of possible arrangements in an outcome column, what they're looking for you to do is to follow the tree branches. So I have 6, 6, 6, 7, 6, 8. I have 7, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8. I have 8, 6, 8, 7, 8, 8. Okay, and then really, as we move through here, we would get what? We have 9 possible outcomes. 9 possible outcomes. Okay? Again, one thing to think about as we go through this, and they're going to talk about this here on this last slide a little bit. Take a look. How many possibilities do you have by the window? 3. How many possibilities do you have by the aisle? 3. If you took 3 times 3, look at what you're going to come up with. 9 outcomes. So if you would see this, be able to connect the dots, that's going to allow you to say, hey, I know how many outcomes there's going to be because I know, and this is something we're going to learn in the next section anyways, the fundamental counting principle is going to be in play. All right? I'm going to show you slide 4, and then I'll likely go back to slide 2 to show you how this is being used. All right, so if I think about the organized list of tables and the tree diagrams, as we talked about, we just made a conjecture. The conjecture is the number of outcomes in the sample space of an action is simply the product of the number of the possible outcomes in the steps of the action. So we just did slide 3. Let's go back to slide 2. And if you took a look at slide 2, what did we have? We had 2 possible outcomes on child 1, 2 possible outcomes on child 2, and 2 possible outcomes on child 3. So if you took 2 times 2 times 2, you're going to come up with 8. If you knew this, this would allow you to, I think, say, I got to come up with 8 different possible outcomes as far as this boy-girl situation with 3 kids. Let's go back and see if we could put this in play on slide number 1. So if I go back on slide number 1, we have what? Crackers. Step 1 is crackers and pretzels. Step 2 is apples or oranges. And then step 3 would be milk, juice, or water. So in this particular piece, if you take a look at it, how many choices did we have in step 1? We had 2. How many choices did we have in step 2? We also had 2. How many choices did we have in step 3? We had 3. So if I took 2 times 2, that's 4. 4 times 3 is 12. I should come up with 12 possible outcomes. If you take a look here, look what you got. In fact, you have 12 possible outcomes. right? All right, I think that'll do it for 17.2, and this is part 3 only. Thanks, and have a great day.